What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video I'm going to be comparing the specs of the Samsung Galaxy S5 to the Google Nexus 5, which is made by LG. Now both of these are the flagships, so we got a flagship from Samsung and the flagship from Google, and both of them are boasting some really nice specs. But what are the key differences between these two? Well, do hit that thumbs up button and let's find out in this head-to-head spec comparison. So starting off with the size, the Nexus 5 is slightly smaller in terms of the height and the width. 4.1mm in terms of height, 3.3mm in terms of the width, but it is ever so slightly thicker, 0.5mm thicker compared to the Samsung Galaxy S5. So not a huge deal of difference in between these two in terms of the size. Now the Samsung Galaxy S5 does have a slightly larger screen, a 5.1 inch screen versus a 5 inch screen, or 4.95 inches is the exact size of the Google Nexus 5 screen. So you do have a little bit of a larger screen on the Samsung Galaxy S5. You've got a Super AMOLED display on the Samsung Galaxy S5. The Google Nexus 5 has an IPS Plus display. Now in terms of the differences between the displays, an IPS Plus display usually has better and brighter whites, whereas a Super AMOLED screen usually has deeper blacks and better contrast, so it really comes down to your personal preference. Resolution wise, both of these have full 1080p screens, so 1920 by 1080, and in terms of the pixel density, because of the slight variation in terms of the screen sizes and having the same amount of pixels, you've got 445 pixels per inch on the Google Nexus 5. On the Samsung Galaxy S5 you've got 432 ppi, so a very slight difference in terms of pixel density. You're not going to be noticing a huge deal of difference between these two. Now the Samsung Galaxy S5 is also slightly heavier compared to the Google Nexus 5, 15 grams more, nothing major once again. And in terms of the build, there's also slight differences. The Samsung Galaxy S5 has a perforated back, so it's a soft touch plastic with a dimpled texture similar to the Google Nexus 7 2012 edition, so it's supposed to be quite comfortable in the hand. The Google Nexus 5 comes with a soft touch plastic, and that is also quite comfortable to hold. It won't be as grippy as the Samsung Galaxy S5. The Samsung Galaxy S5 is water and dust resistant, however, so you're not going to have any problems getting into a bit of a splash, whereas you can't do this with the Google Nexus 5. Now looking at the internals, the Google Nexus 5 has a Snapdragon 800 processor, 2.3 GHz quad core. The Samsung Galaxy S5 comes with a new processor, the Snapdragon 801, and that's 2.5 GHz quad core. So you do have a slightly higher clock speed on the Samsung Galaxy S5. In terms of speed, I don't think there's going to be a massive difference, but the edge does go here to the Samsung Galaxy S5. Both of these devices also have 2 GB of RAM, which is plenty on a smartphone for multitasking. And in terms of the different storage versions available, you've got 16 and 32 on both sides, so you've got the same storage versions available on both sides. However, the Samsung Galaxy S5 does come with expandable storage. The Google Nexus 5 does not. It's up to 64 GB a micro SD on the S5. Some reports are also saying that it's a 128 GB expansion, but this isn't fully confirmed, so we'll have to wait and see. Now in terms of the cameras, you've got an 8 megapixel camera on the Google Nexus 5. On the Samsung Galaxy S5 you've got a 16 megapixel camera, so you've got double the resolution in terms of megapixels. The Google Nexus 5 does come with optical image stabilization, something that the Samsung Galaxy S5 doesn't offer. You've got software image stabilization, but optical image stabilization is always better. You've got lots of new features on the Samsung Galaxy S5 as well. You've got fast autofocus, so that uses phase detection as well as contrast detection, similar to DSLRs, to give you really fast autofocus. 0.3 seconds to focus, Samsung is saying, which is very impressive for a smartphone. You've also got real-time HDR, so you'll be able to get HDR shots which you see on your screen, so you're not going to have to take a shot and wait for it to process as you will have to do on the Google Nexus 5. And there's also other features such as selective focus, so after you've taken a shot you can blur out the background and make it look a bit more like a shot taken on a DSLR. In terms of the video, the Google Nexus 5 films at 1080p at 30 frames a second. The Samsung Galaxy S5 films at 4K Ultra HD 2160p at 30 frames a second, as well as 1080p at 60 frames a second. So the advantage for video definitely goes to the Samsung Galaxy S5 here. However, because of the optical image stabilization, the Google Nexus 5 should give you more steady shots. We will have to see these side by side to really assess which one's better. In terms of the front-facing cameras, the Google Nexus 5 has a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera capable of filming 720p HD. the Samsung Galaxy S5 has a 2 megapixel front-facing camera capable of filming 1080p HD. So the edge once again here does go to the Samsung Galaxy S5 with a higher resolution front-facing camera. Now the operating systems, both of these have the latest version of Android, KitKat 4.4.2. So out of the box you are going to be getting the latest version of Android on both of these devices. However, the Samsung Galaxy S5 does come with the TouchWiz interface on top. So that's Samsung's very own TouchWiz interface. Now some people do find this quite intrusive, so it's going to depend on your personal preference. The big advantage that you get with the Nexus 5 is you're going to get stock Google Android, and you're going to be getting updates directly from Google. You're not going to have to wait around. I'll tell you from experience, after using lots of Samsung devices, you have to wait months, up to 6 months sometimes, just to get the latest version of Android onto your device. And by that time, a newer version of Android is already out and already on one of the Google devices anyway. Now touching on some additional features that both these devices offer, the Samsung Galaxy S5 comes with USB 3, so it's going to have faster data transfer speeds with your computer. It's also going to have faster charging when connected to your computer compared to the USB 2 on the Google Nexus 5. You've got an IR blaster on the Samsung Galaxy S5 as well to control your television and other things, and you've also got Wi-Fi MIMO technology, so that's a very, very fast Wi-Fi. The Samsung Galaxy S5 has a fingerprint scanner as well. So this is placed on the home button and it's going to allow you to unlock your device and also make payments and things. They've integrated this with PayPal. There's no word of it being integrated with the Play Store, so that might be a bit of an issue there. And there's also a heart rate monitor on the Samsung Galaxy S5. Now this is placed underneath the camera on the back, and you can place your finger on here and it's going to measure your heart rate, and you're going to be able to use it with lots of health apps. The Google Nexus 5 offers wireless charging. This is something that's not available out of the box anyway with the Samsung Galaxy S5. There may be some additions that you can get later on to get wireless charging on the Samsung Galaxy S5, but this comes out of the box with the Google Nexus 5. And speaking of charging the batteries, you've got 2300 milliamp non-removable battery on the Google Nexus 5. On the Samsung Galaxy S5, you've got a 2800 milliamp battery, which is removable. So you do have an advantage on the S5 here of a larger battery, which is removable. So you can carry around a spare battery with the Samsung Galaxy S5. You're not going to be able to do that with the Google Nexus 5. However, the Google Nexus 5 does have wireless charging. Now finally, looking at the price, now the Samsung Galaxy S5, there's no confirmed pricing as yet, but I'd expect it to be the standard flagship price of roughly about £600 to £650 in the UK, or between $700 to $750 in the US. Now this is an off-contract price. The Google Nexus 5 just smashes everything else out there in terms of price. It's priced very low, £299 in the UK or $349 in the US for the base model. And these days you can actually pick it up cheaper. You can actually get it cheaper than the £300 in certain retailers. So there we have it, the Samsung Galaxy S5 versus the Google Nexus 5. Both of these offering some great features, but I think one of the key separators between these two has to be the price. The Google Nexus 5, compared to pretty much all of the flagships out there, comes in at a very, very low price. So if you are on a budget, then the Google Nexus 5 is still a great option. But if you want some of those new features, the heart rate monitor, the improved camera, as well as the fingerprint scanner, then the Samsung Galaxy S5 is a great option. What do you think? Which one do you think is better? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, as always, please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And why not subscribe to the channel? I've got plenty more content coming up in here. As soon as we've got the Samsung Galaxy S5 in hand, we'll be having lots of hands-on reviews as well. So be sure you are subscribed to see those first. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more regular videos like this one, then be sure to hit the subscribe button, which will be below. If you're on a mobile device, it may be somewhere else. If you want to see my previous related video, then hit the link right here. If you want to stay in touch over Facebook, Twitter and Google+, then all of the addresses will be there somewhere, as well as direct links in the description below.